Joining us live this Friday morning is the former DFAT Australia-China Council scholar Andrew Phelan. It's good to see you as always, Andrew. Firstly, on Takaichi, given the history between Japan and China and the now very lucrative two-way trade between the two, is it wise to step on the tail of a tiger?
Good morning, Peter. I'm not sure she's done that, actually. What she's done is she's articulated a long-held position that the Japanese government has had. I think Beijing, the comment made by Beijing's man in Osaka, which was absolutely outrageous, was designed to provoke a response and heap pressure on Takaichi as the new prime minister. Japan does have considerable investments in China. It's also dependent on China for parts and so on. So the two economies have a degree of integration. At the same time, in the last few years, we've seen a lot of anti-Japanese rhetoric in China, which has led to the stabbing of some Japanese nationals. So tensions were already high. But I think the bigger thing here is the installation of missile batteries at Yonaguni, which is at the southwest tip of the Japanese archipelago, so close to Taiwan that you can see it on a clear day.
Yeah. When you talk about anti-Japan rhetoric in China, but it's fair to say that there's a fair bit of anti-China rhetoric in Japan too, right? So still plenty of friction between the two.
I think there's friction at a people-to-people level. There's been a flood of people from China going into Japan, and there's been a lot of controversy about their behaviour, them waving PRC flags, not respecting Japanese culture and this sort of thing.
Buying up real estate.
And then there's historical enmities as well.
Yeah.
The piece in the Wall Street Journal about Trump telling the Japanese Prime Minister to wind her neck in before it gets cut off I take that a little skeptically. Trump was with Takaichi on the deck of an aircraft carrier barely a couple of weeks ago. They looked very buddy-buddy. Japan is the United States' most important ally in the Indo-Pacific, and that's not going to change. But there's a school of thought that says, look, Trump wants to get a trade deal done.
Yeah.
China stopped buying American soybeans. They switched completely to Brazil and Argentina, and that's really hurt American farmers, and they're an important part of Trump's political base.
So well, that's what I mean. Yeah, there was that call this week where Trump stepped in, told her to cool it after that chat with Xi Jinping, where Taiwan was discussed. But like you're saying, you believe that Trump and Takaichi, I mean, they got similar political stripes. He's just doing that for optics, perhaps.
And also, Peter, the Japanese side disputes that. They rebut that claim that Trump told her to, cool her jets. So without an official transcript, it's, one can only speculate.
Okay. Then we became somewhat involved this week, particularly on the issue of Taiwan, Andrew. China's number 3 man down here, speaking to Anthony Albanese, under quite a bit of secrecy, I might add too. But then a readout finds that we were told to respect China's core interests in Taiwan and the South China Sea. So what do you make of that?
Yeah, well, the first I heard of Zhao Leji's visit was when I saw the motorcade in Brisbane. So that seemed to be kept under wraps. He is a Xi Jinping confidant, has been for a long period of time. He's headed up the CCP's discipline inspection area, which ostensibly is there to root out corruption, but he's also done a very good job of eliminating any opposition to Xi Jinping. He's on the standing bureau of the Politburo Standing Committee, which is only 7 men. He came down here with a message. That message has been consistent from Beijing since Kissinger was negotiating a détente with Zhou Enlai, and it's remained consistent ever since. As far as Beijing concerned, Taiwan is unfinished business at the tail end of the Civil War, and they want to finish that off.
So, So what? I mean, it has been a global topic of discussion involving 4 different leaders then this week: the US, China, Japan, and Australia. What's going on? Is there something going on in Taiwan that we might not be aware of? What have you found out?
Well, I think this is the number one concern for Australia's national interest, obviously, because if war broke out, or if there was a blockade around Taiwan, we get 90-something% of our stuff from seaborne trade, we'd be in real trouble. So the tensions are very high. China's accusing Japan of, reviving World War II militarism, which is just a ridiculous claim. At the same time, China's just released a propaganda video of the PLA rocket force, which we saw under its own banner on the parade on September 3. And that's very much, all guns blazing, very militaristic sort of propaganda video. So, there's this race in terms of Taiwan, the United States, the Philippines, etc., to bolster its defenses, its force posture, to boost the Taiwanese own military defenses. And it's a race against the clock because China's an industrial behemoth, as we know. They're now using AI to drive manufacturing, advanced manufacturing. They're going to be applying that same technology that they do to EVs to making rockets and missiles and so on. So, it's a very, very tense period, and it will be for the next few years.
Sure will, and always good to get your thoughts this morning, Andrew. We'll chat to you again soon.